You gradually realize something's seriously off, a deep-seated unease that goes way beyond normal relationship bumps. It's not just the arguments that leave you feeling unheard or the silent treatment that's worse than any shouting. It's this constant, subtle chipping away at your spirit, slowly eroding who you are. Your confidence, which used to be solid, crumbles under their critical stare and manipulative words, making you doubt yourself and your worth. You stick around, desperately hoping things will get better, making excuses and twisting yourself into knots until you don't even recognize the person in the mirror anymore. This endless bending over backwards, this constant self-sacrifice, eventually uncovers a painful truth. You've been caught in a narcissist's web, a carefully crafted trap designed to snag and exploit. You finally get that this isn't love or just a tough patch. It's a calculated power play, leaving you drained and questioning everything you once believed in. What if I told you there's a deeper, spiritual reason for this relationship, a collision that wasn't accidental? It goes beyond psychology, trauma, or attachment, with a purpose you can't yet fully grasp. Even though the Bible doesn't actually use the word narcissist, it really paints a clear picture of people with those traits. It warns us about wolves in sheep's clothing, those proud, tricky folks who manipulate and use hurtful words. These people aren't just around to annoy us. Sometimes they're there to help us wake up. If you're hearing this, it's no coincidence. You've endured battles that would crush others. Your prayers, whispered in tears, have been heard by God alone. Perhaps you've questioned, why me? Why did God allow this? With all the love and truth I possess, I offer this. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You were chosen to emerge from the ashes of emotional manipulation, bearing a testimony powerful enough to shake the very foundations of hell. God, in His amazing wisdom and power, often works things out so that what the enemy meant for bad actually turns into something incredibly good for helping others. It really shows how He can take even the darkest plans and turn them into hope and salvation. You weren't put in a narcissist's life to be destroyed, but actually to have a major awakening. This isn't just realizing what's happening, but a huge spiritual and emotional breakthrough, like a curtain being pulled back to reveal the truth. It's through this tough experience that you can really start to understand yourself, your faith, and the real difference between good and evil. As we dig deep into what's actually going on, looking at it all through the clear lens of the Bible, the truth you uncover will probably be pretty shocking. It's going to challenge what you thought you knew and expose all the manipulative stuff that's been happening. But believe it or not, this very truth, even though it's raw, will also be the thing that sets you free. This freedom isn't just about getting out of the immediate situation, but a liberation of your spirit, breaking the chains that have held you back. It allows you to step into the full purpose God has for you, and in doing so, become a source of strength and guidance for others going through something similar. 1. What is a narcissist? Really, unmasking the spirit behind the smile. We tend to throw the word narcissist around a lot, but let's dig deeper. This isn't just about a personality type. It's about a spiritual condition. At its root, narcissism is the worship of self. The Bible has been warning us about this spirit for centuries. Think of Isaiah 14, where we read the chilling words of Lucifer himself, once a beautiful angel, saying, "I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High." Isaiah 14 verses 13 to 14. That's the original narcissist, The origin of pride. Jesus warned us in Matthew 7, verse 15, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves." They don't show up looking dangerous. They show up looking helpful, attractive, and magnetic. They flatter you and charm you until slowly the control begins. The gaslighting, the confusion, the slow erosion of your identity. When you've dealt with a narcissist who hides behind faith or kindness, it messes with your head. You're not just dealing with a difficult person. You're dealing with a spirit that hates the image of God in you. It seeks to distort and crush anything it cannot dominate. But here's the good news. Scripture tells us to be aware, to put on the full armor of God. When you start seeing the narcissist not just as someone who hurt you, but as a vessel being used by something darker, you begin to take your power back. 2, God doesn't waste pain. There's a kingdom purpose in the chaos. One of the hardest questions to ask is, why would a loving God allow someone so destructive into my life? It's a raw and honest question. But here's what I've learned. God doesn't waste pain. Not one tear, not one betrayal, not one sleepless night. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. All things, even this, even them. Look at Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers. If anyone had a reason to ask, why, it was him. But in Genesis 50 verse 20, he says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." God's intricate design for our lives often involves challenging seasons, not as a punishment, but as a profound process of refinement. While God does not intentionally inflict the pain of narcissistic abuse upon us, He permits these experiences to serve a higher purpose, to refine our character, awaken our spiritual senses, and strengthen our ability to discern. Much like a structure that appears sound until a significant impact reveals its weaknesses, sometimes it takes the force of a difficult relationship to expose the hidden cracks within us. The insidious manipulation of a narcissist can be the very catalyst that uncovers deeply buried wounds we never knew existed. And amidst the ensuing chaos, a powerful calling previously dormant can begin to emerge, shaping us into who we are truly meant to be. It may be challenging to perceive it now, in the midst of your pain, but there is a future version of you waiting on the other side of this storm, a version that is bold in conviction, profoundly healed from past hurts, and imbued with an unshakable power. This current storm, as tumultuous as it may feel, is God's deliberate preparation for that magnificent future self. What you are experiencing now, which may feel like a complete breakdown of your spirit and your life, will ultimately be revealed as a monumental breakthrough. Every tear shed, every struggle endured, every moment of confusion has a profound purpose-a kingdom purpose. This divine design is not merely about personal growth, but about aligning you with God's greater plan. And the unfolding of this grand purpose has only just begun. Trust that even in the darkest moments, a powerful transformation is underway, preparing you for a life of greater impact and deeper connection to your spiritual calling. 3, you're the light in their darkness, and that's why they targeted you. Let's get something straight right now. You weren't targeted because you were weak or easy to manipulate. In fact, it's the complete opposite. You were targeted because you carry light. You reflect something they don't have, and your presence disturbed the darkness inside of them. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, Matthew 5, verse 14. But here's the thing about light. It exposes what's been hiding in the shadows. A narcissist lives to protect a false image. When someone like you enters the picture, someone with truth, compassion, and integrity, it disrupts their performance. They saw your heart, your kindness, and the way you naturally gave grace. It bothered them because your light exposed the void in their own soul. They didn't just try to win a fight. They were trying to dim a light. But here's the good news. They didn't destroy your light. They revealed it. And now that you're starting to see who you really are in Christ, that light is about to shine even brighter. 4. Refining fire. How God uses narcissists to shape warriors. Sometimes we ask God to make us strong, and then life gets harder. That's not punishment, that's refining. Proverbs 17 verse 3 says, "The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart." Think of refining like an alchemist's quest for pure gold. It's a process that burns away anything extra until only the absolute best is left. When you're in a tough relationship with a narcissist, it's important to get that they weren't the actual problem. The fire, the real challenge, was the refining process itself. Intense, often painful, but ultimately it made you better. The narcissist in this whole picture was just a tool. They were the instrument, maybe without even knowing it, that brought out exactly what you needed to heal. Their actions and presence were like a harsh mirror, showing you the old wounds, deep-seated patterns, and vulnerabilities that needed your attention. They exposed what needed to be broken, not in a destructive way, but in the sense of shattering old illusions, false beliefs, and limiting ideas that weren't serving you anymore. And maybe most importantly, the narcissist was the spark that showed you what you needed to let go of, the need to control, to release expectations, and to trust in a bigger process of self-discovery and growth. Through this tough refining, the truest, most authentic version of you can shine through, stronger and more resilient than ever before. Look at David. He was anointed to be king, but God placed him in the court of King Saul, a man who was jealous and manipulative. David was being shaped into a man who could carry the weight of the crown without being corrupted by it. The pain didn't make David bitter. It made him better. You too have been in the presence of a Saul. You're not just a survivor. You're a warrior. And every scar you carry is proof that hell lost. 5. Breaking the cycle. God calls you to be a cycle breaker. Patterns don't just happen. They reproduce from one generation to the next. What isn't healed gets handed down. Maybe this pattern started in your childhood, or maybe you broke free only to find yourself in relationships that felt all too familiar. But here's the truth. Jesus didn't just come to forgive you. He came to set you free and make you a cycle breaker. Like Gideon, who tore down the altars his father had built. Like Esther, who broke the silence and saved a generation. You may not have chosen these battles, but you were chosen to end them. The presence of a narcissist in your life served a profound, divine purpose. They acted as a mirror held up by God to reflect back to you areas of your life that required healing, growth, or completion. This was not a random occurrence, but a carefully orchestrated experience designed to reveal the unfinished work within you. Once this truth was unveiled, once you gained clarity and understood the dynamics at play, a transformation began. God knew that this awakening would make you a formidable force against the forces of darkness. Your eyes were opened, and with that newfound insight, you became a danger to the enemy's kingdom, as you were no longer susceptible to the same manipulations. This journey is not merely about surviving the painful cycles of narcissistic abuse. It is about definitively ending them. You are not just a passive recipient of these experiences, but an active agent in breaking these patterns, not only for yourself, but potentially for future generations. You are stepping out of the cycle of pain and into a position of strength and empowerment, finally closing the chapter on these harmful dynamics. 6. Spiritual warfare. The narcissist was a weapon, but God is the victor. You've probably heard the verse, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers." Ephesians 6 verse 12. But when you're in the middle of narcissistic abuse, it feels so personal. When a narcissist shows up in your life, it's not just about them making you feel bad. They're actually being used to mess with your true purpose, quiet your voice, and even put out the fire of your calling. What's even trickier is that the enemy wants you to get caught up in fighting them directly, so you don't even realize there are bigger spiritual forces at play. This keeps you from getting to the real problem and setting yourself free. This deep truth highlights why the Bible tells us to put on the armor of God. Each piece is super important in this spiritual battle. You need to tie the belt of truth around your waist because narcissists are masters at twisting things, making you confused, and distorting facts. If you don't have a firm grip on what's true, their tricks can easily trap you. The breastplate of righteousness is key. 2, because they often launch constant attacks on your character, trying to ruin your reputation and make you feel worthless. This spiritual armor protects who you really are from their toxic assaults. And you definitely need the shield of faith to block all those fiery doubts they throw your way. These doubts are meant to shake your confidence, make you question what you believe, and weaken your resolve, leaving you open to their influence. Understand that God didn't let this tough time happen in your life to make you bitter or hard-hearted. Instead, it was a divinely planned training ground, a tough experience designed to strengthen and refine you. This period is a big spiritual awakening, like waking up from a deep sleep. Once you really get this divine purpose, the narcissist's power over you starts to disappear. This doesn't happen because they change, because they often don't. Instead, their power fades because you have changed. You've woken up to the spiritual dynamics, put on your divine armor, and realized your own power, taking back your authority and breaking free from their destructive grip. This journey ultimately leads to freedom, not because they're different, but because you are. 7. Rising in power. Your pain becomes your ministry. There's a turning point in every story, the moment when the victim stops asking, "Why me?" and starts asking, "What now?" That's where you are. You've walked through the fire, and you're still standing. Your purpose isn't finished, it's just getting started. God never wastes pain. He repurposes it. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4 says, He comforts us in our troubles so that we can comfort others. The healing you receive doesn't stop with you. It flows through you. There are people right now who are trapped in the same kind of relationship that once had you bound. What if you are the answer to their prayer? You don't need a platform to minister. You just need authenticity. You don't need a pulpit to preach. You just need scars that speak louder than sermons. The narcissist didn't destroy your purpose. They introduced you to it. You now have the authority to help others escape. Your pain has become your platform. Take a moment, breathe, look back at everything you've walked through. The confusion, the heartbreak, the isolation, the nights you couldn't sleep. You carried all of that, and yet here you are. When you felt most alone, know this deep down. You were never truly by yourself. God was right there with you, seeing everything you went through, even the stuff you kept hidden. He saw your quiet tears, your private sadness, and those moments when you felt overwhelmed. He noticed the apology you longed for, but never got, the words left unsaid, and the reconciliation that never happened. And he totally understood all your inner struggles, the worries, the doubts, and the battles in your mind that you just couldn't explain to anyone else. He was there for every single bit of it, in every secret part of your experience. His presence was like a quiet, constant friend, always witnessing your pain and your strength. He was with you back then, deeply involved in your story, offering comfort and understanding even when you didn't realize it. And this divine friendship isn't some old story. It's real right now. He's still with you, a steady source of comfort, guidance, and unconditional love, ready to walk with you through whatever comes next. You were never meant to be just a pawn in a narcissist's game. Actually, you were uniquely designed and equipped to be a powerful light, shining bright in their deep darkness. While they constantly tried to dim your spirit and put out your light, every challenge you faced, every tough moment, served a much higher, divine purpose. These trials weren't meant to break you, but to wake up your inner strength, refine who you are, and ultimately reveal your true and amazing calling. No more waiting. Now's the time to bravely step up, fully commit to healing, and trust your gut. Become the person your adversary worked so hard to keep you from becoming, a symbol of resilience, a beacon of hope. Get this straight. Your feelings aren't irrational, and you're not just a random, unlucky victim. Your painful experience isn't meaningless. You are, in fact, chosen, called, and divinely appointed by an all-powerful force that can turn even the worst intentions into something profoundly good. Your journey isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning to unfold in ways more beautiful and powerful than you can even imagine yet. Embrace this new chapter with courage and unshakable faith. If this helped you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs it. Drop a thanks in the comments, and we'll pray for your healing journey. May God give you peace. Thank you for watching.